Hello and welcome to Winter Disco Tabletop Gaming, where we have tons of very, very annoying birds right outside the window and I can't get rid of them. It's very annoying. Anyway, we are looking at some new Necromunda models that are coming soon. Some ones we knew were coming eventually. It's been rumored for a while, but some new things. The Water Guild. Let's start with the Water Guild. They are really, really cool. Kind of exciting. Not because of the models themselves. Like, the models are freaking awesome, and we'll talk about the models in a second. They've hinted at the Water Guild for some time. I feel like they've hinted at them for almost since the beginning of the current Necromunda edition, or at least very, very early on. They were hinting at these guilds, and they did reference the Water Guild. It's so exciting because Necromunda's been around for what, almost over 30 years, not quite over 30 years, but around 25 years, we'll say. And this is, other than the Corpse Grinder gang, they've gone outside of the gangs and expanded. And yes, you've got the spiders as well, which technically not gangs, but you know what I'm saying. New playable things that expand the lore and the model range and all the interactions between different types of organizations in the Necromunda Underhive. So I'm pretty excited that we have the Mercator Nautica, because they control all the water on Necromunda, and the article itself says from the sluice runoff to recycled stuff that you use in everyday. So any kind of liquid would essentially have some kind of water in it. They want it to be their business. The models themselves are really funky. I actually am very, very interested because this is starting to go into more of the odd, I think just is the word that comes to mind. They're weird. They're strange. They can do some weird stuff as well, which is different to what we've seen before. So there's this sort of mysteriousness behind them. The fact that you can't see any of their skin. They wear masks and gloves and armor and have extra bits sticking off them, like I'm guessing needles and pumps to draw up liquids and almost like praying mantis things on them. So we'll talk about the models one by one. We don't have any other images at the moment. We only have this one image, so it's up on screen at the moment. So we'll talk about that. So these three are part of something called the Nordican siphoning delegation. So the idea in the lore is when help is needed, the delegation gets sent out. And within the lore itself, it says that they're made up of the Master Nordican, a Cipher Knight, and the Subnautican. So we'll read the text actually from the article itself, and a link to the article will be in the description if you haven't seen it yet. It is a little old. I just hadn't got around to actually getting this video up. So the Master Nordican is usually pretty well equipped, but they prefer to leave the fighting to their underlings. So the Master Nordican, as far as I can tell, is the middle one, who looks very conniving and devious and has lots of plans going on. So this is the one in the middle. So it looks like also has some kind of tank and pump system on them with tendrils that they can control to like get liquid or inject things or something as well. And there's a lot of features that I'll come back and talk about in general, because I also need to talk about the other small one, which is the Cipher Knight. They spread rumors that those staffs they carry can bleed water from their victims. The Cipher Knight is obviously inspired from praying mantis. From the helmet itself is just really creepy. It's just so weird. To the two claws, I guess, coming out of its back. It's almost like the praying mantis when it stands up on its back legs and it has its two front legs sticking out. And then you have the long staff and more of those, I guess, claw elongated things, which are very reminiscent of praying mantis, which is really odd. I believe that I'd have to do some research on praying mantis, but I believe that they kill their mate. I believe that's what happens after they procreate. It kills its mate. I think so. So you get the idea of like where they're going with that kind of character. And yeah, they have that staff that they can bleed water from their victims. So they may have likely some, either a psychic ability or some kind of artifact that allows them to do that, some kind of advanced technology. And then finally, we have the Subnautican, which is the big, have to be a vat grown, very similar to the big Goliaths. I originally thought this was an ambot until I had a better look at it. It's like, oh no, it's not. It's actually I want to say human, but really, who knows? It has a tiny head, huge body, giant gloved hands and giant feet. This guy looks freaking huge. Not quite twice as tall as the Master Nordican or the Cipher Knight, but it's pretty tall, probably 2/3 taller if it stood up straight. And this is the one they send in a armored diving suit to keep everything functioning. So they're kind of like the worker that goes in. And you can see they have the big tank, whether that is oxygen or not, I'm not 100% sure. But it has all the little almost glass jars off of it full of all these various types of liquid. I get the idea that this liquid isn't water, but it's some kind of embryonic fluid or something to help keep them alive. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up. So it's very big boy. It's such a cool model, and it feels very inspired by ambots, although ambots are much more sharp, straight edges, when this one's a bit more rounded, just to give you that humanish or organic idea. And the helmet itself is round with a single eye, which is pretty cool. So one of the things I really want to talk about these models is the flowing nature of the cloaks, not of the Subnautican, but of the Master Nordican and the Cipher Knight. It just gives you this impression of them just floating along the surface. Very thematic and mysterious, and they've also got no shoes on. How that works in Underhive, who knows? There's probably a special thing there. But I imagine the cloth that they use is a very specific cloth. It's probably technologically advanced, that it doesn't get dirty or anything. And this very nice, pristine, deep blue, but then goes to like these very white edges, very nautical themed. One thing I really want to do, particularly with the Master Nordican, is convert it into an Inquisitor. Depends how the model's built. I think it could be a really interesting thing, or even something from AdMech. I think it calls out for some kind of conversion work to do some really cool things with it. And I think you could do it to fit in something for Age of Sigmar as well. Possibly even Lumineth Realm Lords. You could probably get converted into something there. I think that'd be really interesting. And that also goes for the Cipher Knight as well. The Mercator Nautica and the Nordican Siphoning delegation. Very interesting. It gives me hope of what could happen in the future with other guilds. Interesting things like there'll be slavers eventually, I think, because I think that was somewhat in the 90s version. I think there was rules for slavers and like slave gangs. I have to go back and check. I'm really excited for this way that they're going and expanding upon what we already knew. But of course, that's not all. The reason why I'm doing this video now is because we also have a model of the Redemptionists, which are part of the cawdor house, but they're also kind of separate. They were one of my favorite gangs back in the 90s when they were around, because they were just like, this is just so bizarre. They're all on fire. They're all got flamers. All their cloaks like full of flames and everything. So I've only got one image at the moment. It's such a cool image. It's just a dude with a flaming hat, and it feels like everything in here is somewhat handmade in a way. It's bits that have been taken from other machines and cobbled together to create some kind of flamer and flaming hat. Like you can almost see the world marks in the helmet, how it's like goes around his face. Those bars there almost seem to be welded on in a really shoddy way. The pipes themselves seem to be cobbled together from different bits and pieces. And the text that they've said is this will be revealed on the Warhammer preview this Saturday, which is the Faith and Damnation one, which is very exciting. So we're going to see the whole Redemptionist. They're going to be showing off all the new Redemptionist models. I'm going to call them the Redemptionists. There we go. That's what my gang's going to be called, the Redemptionists. So I'm excited to see how they go with this. I think they're one of the more interesting ones. I've always liked cawdor. I didn't particularly like the new cawdor sculpts. I felt that they could have stepped further away from what they used to look like, particularly with the leather face masks that they wear. I find that a little odd. It's really an identifying feature of that gang. So there we go. Let me know what you think in the comments. I am pretty excited for the Mercator Nautica. I don't know if this will be a full gang. I very much doubt it. I think that you'll be able to get them as not so much hangers on, but you can hire them to work with your gang. And I still think that's cool, but hopefully they expand it, do like a gang with this. I think that would be super, super cool. And of course the Redemptionists, classic Necromunda, peak Necromunda for me. Guys with flaming hats, because why not? So yeah, let me know what you think. That's it. I've been rambling on for way too long. I'm out of here. Leave the comments. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. I'll see you later.